Deepa, you will record or?
Yes.
Okay, we are live now. Deepa, you will
We are good to start.
Okay. Okay, namaste everyone. Good morning and welcome to AAAP International Day of Yoga 26 program, Yoga Beyond the Mat, Mindfulness, Ayurveda Lifestyle and Daily Wellness. On behalf of American Association of Ayurvedic Professionals, I, Meenakshi Gupta, warmly welcome all of our speakers, board members, colleagues, and participants joining us today. AAP, American Association of Ayurvedic Professionals, mission is to unite, educate, and empower BMS graduates as well as Ayurvedic professionals to advance authentic Ayurveda practices, teaching, research, and leadership. As an organization, AAP is committed to preserving the true spirit of Ayurveda while supporting professional growth, collaboration, and International Day of Yoga is a beautiful reminder that yoga is not limited to asana or physical involvement. Yoga is a way of living. It influences how we breathe, how we think, act, nourish, manage our senses, connect with the world around us. So, rooted in a shared understanding of the body as well as the mind, senses, and consciousness, Ayurveda and yoga together offer a holistic approach to well being. So, today's theme, Yoga Beyond the Mat, invites us to explore yoga as daily awareness through breath, sound, conscious actions, Brahmacharya, Marma, sensory well being, and conscious consumption. We are honored to have a distinguished group of speakers who will share their wisdom in an interactive question and answer format. To begin this auspicious program, it is my pleasure to invite Vaidya Deepa Bhatt for Dhanvantri Vandana. Vaidya Deepa Bhatt is an Ayurvedic practitioner, Panchkarma specialist, yoga educator with over 23 years of experience in Ayurveda as well as yoga. She is a founder of Sangeet Sammohan Pathshala, dedicated to promoting Indian Vedic sciences and classical arts, and has more than 15 years of experience teaching Carnatic music. Her unique work integrates Ayurveda, yoga, and the healing power of music to support holistic well-being. She is actively engaged in community service and serves on several non-profit boards, including AAP and National Consortium of Ayurveda Medicine. Deepaji, over to you.
Thank you, Meenakshi ji. First of all, I would welcome you all and invite you all to sit comfortably. Bring your awareness into your heart. Take a deep breath in and deep breath out. One more inhale and exhale deeply. Close your eyes or soften your gaze if you prefer. With gratitude, let us invoke Lord Dhanvantri, the divine healer, who is the remover of all the diseases and imbalance. Om. नमामि धन्वन्तरिम् आदिदेवम् सुरासुरेर्वन्दित पादपद्मम् लोके चरार् भयमृत्युनाशम् दातारमीशं विविधौषधीनाम् सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः सर्वे सन्तु निरामय सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत्। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। May all beings be happy. May all be free from illness. May no one suffer. Let there be peace and peace. Notice your breath and stillness. With gratitude, we'll complete the prayer of Dhanvantri. Thank you. You may open your eyes. I would like to take a moment to introduce our esteemed Board of Directors, whose guidance, leadership, expertise are very invaluable to our organization. Please join me in welcoming our Executive Leadership Board members, Vaidya Meenakshi Gupta, currently serving as President of American Association of Ayurvedic Professionals, Board of Directors of AAAP, and today she is joining us both as a distinguished speaker and a moderator for one of our sessions. Myself, Deepa Bhatt, serving as Vice President and Secretary of the American Association of Ayurvedic Professionals. We have Dr. Amit Gumman, serving as Treasurer and Board of Directors of AAP. We are also honored to have our Board of Directors, Dr. Shanmugamurthy Lakshmanan, Vaidya Vindyashri Manchikatla, and Vaidya Archana Vardhan. We, the entire board, extend our heartfelt gratitude to all of you for joining today in celebrating the International Day of Yoga. I would like to invite our moderator, Vaidya Meenakshi, to take it from here to our first session. Over to you.
Thank you so much, Deepa Bhatt. So our first speaker is Dr. Shanmugh Lakshmanan. Dr. Shan, we call him as a nickname, is a Harvard-trained scientist with PhD in applied physics and serves as a Vice Chancellor of Beta Center for Transdisciplinary Studies. His work focuses on bridging modern science with consciousness-based perspectives, exploring new ways to understand reality through both science and human experience. An internationally recognized researcher, author, speaker, he holds leadership role across several academic and scientific organizations, including WISE, Harvard, and American Association of Ayurvedic Physicians. He has received multiple honors, including the Aryabhatta Award and the Star of Universe Award for his contribution to integrating ancient wisdom with modern science. Thank you so much, Dr. Shan, for joining us. I know that you are busy with your own schedule, but thank you for having a little time for us today. So my first question to you is, your topic is Marma Yoga and Emerging Science of Psycho-Ophthalmology. So the term psycho-ophthalmology is unfamiliar to many people. Can you please explain what does that mean?
See, ophthalmology is we know it's a modern term, but this is we are integrating our ancient knowledge where we bring the component of our emotions into the eyes and solving the problem. So this is there in our ancient tradition, and it not only solves the eye problem, it solves many other problems. There is a particular medicine called kalikam. Kalikam is a medicine they squeeze the three different herbs very fresh and pour inside the eyes. Those medicines, they not only solve the eye problems. If a women they come for periods or some other thyroid issues, every problem is solved. We are doing this for a number of years in our village back in India. 500, 600 people line up for this kalikam. So these are things that can be done. So they like transdermal, it is trans visual, whatever you call it, right? Through your eyes you are solving problem. You can solve problem not only through the physical medicine. There are non-physical medicines such as photons, induced photons, which is from our diya light. You can do lamps, different lamps, and you can solve the problem through your eyes also. So there are number of techniques that are there. So that's what we coined the word. Maybe that's not the right the word. Maybe there is more to it. Yeah.
Thank you so much. So you explained little about psycho-ophthalmology, but how our vision, perception, and consciousness are interconnected when it comes to the psycho-ophthalmology?
Okay, so let me pull out a. Can I share the screen for you?
Yes.
Okay, please allow me. So if you look at this, right? So there are three types of tears that we get. There's a Vada tear. The Vada tear comes from the inner side of the eyes. The Pitta tear comes from the middle of the eye, and the Kapha tear comes from the corner of the eyes. So depending on what kind of emotions, this all happens through the nadi systems in our body. The eyes has around 4,000 nadis, 2,000 tiny little tubes connected to each nadi. And why so many tubes? Because it's the most complicated system. And in this complicated system, the nadis are tiny tubes. They are Vada nadi, Pitta nadi, Kapha nadi. Depending on what they carry, whether they carry the liquid, the fire, or the air, and then the different kind of solution. For example, you have a Kapha nadi that will carry not only the lacrimation thing for your eyes, the secretion liquid, but also different types of tears with different kind of taste in the tear. You can taste and see if it is a sour tear, sour, salty and astringent tear, which is a Vata tear. If it is a bitter and pungent tear, it is a Pitta tear. And if it is a sweet, it is a Kapha tear. So, and there is also temperature measurement. You can measure those. The Vata tear is always normal, Pitta tear is hot, and Kapha tear is cold, right? So the emotions connected to this is like when you are lonely. So all the way of Vata psychology, whatever we talk about, for a Vata, whatever the person in terms of psychology, the loneliness, anxiety, grief, all these are Vata disorder. So when they have a Vata disorder, we can see people, they cry, their tear comes from the inner corner. Whereas if you can see our little kids, they cry, they're angry at you, they shout at you, and then you look at their tear, the tear comes from middle of the eyes. But then we are very compassionate, like Ramana Maharishi sitting down, the tear comes from the outer corner, very compassionate tear. So what happens is the blockage gets removed through the tear. And so that's why many men, they have a problem with the eyes. I have done this thing, eye treatment, psychology thing. I asked them the questions, yeah, how many years you have been wearing? Oh, 30 years I've been. Okay, so let's do this. Did you cry when your dad passed away? No, I didn't care, but I didn't cry, but I had these tears, holding all the things. I told, you just remember, go back in time, go to the bathroom, nicely cry and come back. So they do this. And I have a chart, I show them, the before and after Snell chart. They read the chart, they read line 4, 5, then all the way they go to 20, 18, 20, after the tears. And that stays there after that. So that one emotion cleared their eyesight. So this is what I'm talking about. See? So that is the way we can heal in the ancient, ophthalmology technique. So, yeah. It makes sense?
Yes, it definitely makes sense. This is really fascinating. Most of us, we know that the ocean of tears, which is salty in nature, but connecting those dots with Bhatt, Pitta, the area from the tears are coming. That's really we can learn from you that how it is connected with our emotions and how it can help with balance the doshas also.
Yes.
So now my next question to you is, what role do Marma and yoga plays in supporting these connections? We talked about tears, we talked about Vata, Pitta, Kapha, we talked about the area from where the tears are coming, but how the Marma and yoga can help in supporting those connections.
So, yoga is designed based on the Marma anatomy, the physiology. There is no separate. It's not an isolated technique like the Marma is not an isolated technique. The yoga is designed based on the Marma structure of your body. So you do, say, for example, if you're doing Gomukhasana like this, right? The CrossFit. So the Gomukhasana is designed for particular Marma to activate in a particular way in the body. So the modern, we understand modern things like we do yoga and then we relate it to modern muscle memory, muscle thing, all kind of modern things. That's a very limited perspective of how our body works. The whole body works based on Marma system. We have 72,000 nadis. They are real. They are femtoneurobiology. It's not microbiology. You cannot detect through microscope. And it cannot be evidence-based, direct evidence-based. But you can measure those through mapping, by repetitive mapping. We can do that. But it is femtobiology. It's very quantum mechanical in nature. It is 10 power minus 16 below. And therefore, it works. The yogis have found that through conscious living and downloading directly from the consciousness. So these are real. The anatomy is real, the Marma anatomy. The yoga is designed, each yoga is designed based on Marma, not on the physical body structure as we see. They are designed, they know how, like I told you, like 4,000 nadis for the eyes, they divided the 72,000 nadis. Which one goes where? 3,000 for the ears, the nose, 1,500, each year's 3,500, 3,000, 1,500. So like that, they divided, 1,500, for a hands, 1,000. So they know which Marma goes to which organ, which touches here, so all those details, right? And this is not done by one person. It's not a religious work or something done by one person. There are several thousand sage scientists who did this. There are so many books available for this. Okay, so it is very scientific. And this is the anatomy we need to bring for the modern. So we will learn, then we know that how this yoga works. So this kind of posture will do to what Marma, what organ will be operated in that particular time. So this is how we need to look at it. That's the connection between yoga and Marma.
Thank you so much, Dr. Shan. You mentioned that yoga is not separate from the Marma system, and that specific postures are designed to activate particular Marmas. can you give us one or two examples of common asanas and explain which marma they influence and what effects practitioners might experience?
Well, there are, for example, right? So I told you about Gomukasana. Okay, so just now I told you about Gomukasana. This is, keeping your hand like this. So if you're crossing your right, your let me. Okay, so this is if my left, this is like Gomuk means that the cow face, right? So now I'm keeping this is my left leg on top, so my left hand goes up and straight here like this, right? I'm holding from the back, the other hand goes and we hold this, right? So this is the posture we're looking at. So now what is happening here? There is a Marma Nadi, so we are stretching out the maximum Marma Nadi. So if you look at, whenever you pull your hand, what happens to you if you pull a string? So stretching see when you have pipes, so think what is Marma? Marma nadis, what is the nadis? Nadi is like the drainage pipe, sewage pipe. Okay. They have a drainage manholes. The manholes in the nadis are called Marma points. Marma points are access nodes to that. So the access nodes to the nadis for cleaning up, right? Because manholes are used to clean up what? The blockages. Same way, the blockage of the energy blockages can be removed through the Marma Nadi. So now, by stretching, see what happens, right? So if your nadis are bent, you will have problems. When your nadis are bent, that's where problem comes. Energy doesn't flow freely. So one way, suppose I had a nadi, so the nadis are coming from here. If I have to pull the nadis, here is a nadi bent here, right? So if I make a hole here, I will be able to pull it, right? Literally, right? I'll be able to pull the nadi and stretch it out like a string. Now, the other technique without doing the invasive way is to stretch. That's where yoga comes. So when you're doing this, what happens is the nadi from here stretched all the way and I am pulling here. The whole this system is straightened up. Then I apply Marma. It start to work because the nadi got straightened up. Okay, so this is how the whole why yoga is very helpful in clearing any other therapy. So yoga is a must for everyone. Each stretch that you do will relieve and clean up the Marma. But yoga itself is therapeutic. Then on top of it, if you do the Marma, it will be like really, it's a super therapy. Okay. So this is how it works.
Thank you so much, Dr. Shan. My next question, and I would appreciate if you answer in one line. I know that you have done a lot of research in this field. So what are some practical implications of this research for everyday life? And what excites you most about the future of this field?
Well, I am looking at that this is the future. What excites me, because I lived this life without medicines, any modern medicines. I have lived with our ancient medicine and ancient lifestyle. I manage my life. Okay. And I have given it to my families. Many families benefited from this. So I see that this has so much potential that we haven't done enough research. We haven't documented it properly in a way that modern people can understand. We don't need mechanisms like modern mechanism to understand that. That is not the way. We need to build the science as it is. And for example, Vada, Pitta, Kapha, you don't have to connect to the modern thing without that, because that is itself it's a paradigm shift thing, what we have. So we need to understand it's an axiomatic shift. We need to understand as it is. And there is a way of building that science as it is. And then we can modernize it. We need to modernize it so modern people can understand. We don't have to understand modern mechanism for this. All like how I told about tears, these are not modern mechanism. Nadis are not modern mechanism. So we have to understand the anatomy as it, and then you have to do research mapping, then we have an amazing future. The future will be the advanced biology concept from ancient science. This is going to take over the world. This will take over the world because this is truth designed, downloaded by sage scientists, not one person. It's not a religion. Bunch of them downloaded and got it. So this is the future, I think, and I thank you for the opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Shan. Thank you for your valuable time. And our next speaker is Dr. Amit Gumman. Dr. Amit is the founder, president, and chief clinician of Harmony Healing Center and CEO of Harmony Nutraceuticals. He's our board of director and past president also. He's a coordination consortium of Ayurveda medicine. With more than 30 years of experience in integrative medicine, he's widely recognized for his work in Ayurveda, acupuncture, naturopath, yoga, as well as holistic healthcare. Trained in Ayurvedic medicine and surgery with advanced credential in acupuncture, public health, and medicine, Dr. Gumman brings a uniquely interdisciplinary approach to healing and wellness. He's also a dedicated community leader and serves on the board of several nonprofit organizations, including AAAP and CAM, and that supports health and well-being. Thank you so much, Dr. Amit, for joining us. Welcome you. And now my first question to you is mindfulness, breath awareness, and inner observation is your topic. So when it comes to the mindfulness and the inner breath or the awareness, those all practices are ancient practices. But why are they so relevant in today's fast-paced world?
That's a very good question. Thank you very much, Dr. Meenakshi and the board to have me here. It's my exciting and it holds a very special part of mindfulness and vipassana for me, which I had been practicing for over 30 years on and off. But that's very core to my belief of being human. We are human beings, not human doings. So in our day-to-day life, we are so much caught up in doing things, and we have agenda, and we are in the past, we are in the future, we are always running, going. So we have, instead of human being, we have become kind of human doing. So vipassana or mindfulness is a core tool which brings us to that beingness, to be, to observe things as they are. As it said, past is a history, future is a mystery, presence is a gift, and that's why presence is that's why it's called a gift. Present. So to get a real benefit of any practice, especially of pranayama or yoga or Ayurveda, is to be in this moment as either we are practicing or we are being, is to have that core presence of consciousness of being in this moment. So on this occasion of Yoga Day, we are not celebrating only physical posture, but the deeper essence, the cultivation of awareness, balance, and inner stillness. So among the many pathways yoga offer, the pranayama is the conscious regulation of the breath, which is the vital bridge between the body and the mind. And when it's practiced with mindfulness or vipassana, it's guided by breath work. It's a very transformative tool to take us to a different level of awareness and consciousness. Thank you.
Thank you so much. This brings to one more question, which I would definitely going to ask you. Would you say that the awareness itself is a medicine, and that practices simply becomes vehicle for bringing us back to the state of presence?
I think that is not just a vehicle. I think that's the most important tool is awareness. You will find people who are doing pranayama, but if they are not in the present moment, they are thinking about the rest of the day, or they're dwelling into the past, they are missing out. Same thing, even with as practitioners of Ayurveda, when we are with a client, with our patient, it's so critical to be in this moment, to listen, to hold that space for your client, where you are just an astute observer of the things as they are in this moment. You're not judging them, you're not evaluating them or being judgmental in the sense, but you're just observing as things are, as how things are, how the dynamics are playing, how the Vata Pitta Kapha is playing, how the action, how their emotions are playing. So like, people may be doing even chanting, they may chant thousand hours and hours of chanting, or you may go to a temple, do all the ritual. But if you're not mindful, if you're not aware of your of the practice, you have missed the boat. It's like, an elephant go in front of you, and if you have not observed the elephant, that elephant has not existed for you. So you are missing out if you are not having this awareness of this moment without reacting. We have become bundle of reactions. We are always reacting to somebody said something. We are ready to react. We are ready to take an action and reaction, like a Pavlovian dog hears a little bell and the mouth salivates. So we have become bundle of reactors, instead of being human. So I think that is the essence, is to be, you know, uh, to be in the present moment.
Thank you so much. And that's a wonderful explanation that we are observing, but we are grasping everything inside. And that's where the mindfulness comes. So I'm getting the message that the mindfulness in your language, Vipassana and mindfulness is together. But how does Vipassana complement traditional pranayama practices?
So they're the two sides of the same coin. In Vipassana, you are an observer, you're silent witness, you are that Chaitanya, you are that silent witness. And in pranayama, you are regulating your breath. So so they are the two sides of the same coin, where you are aware, at the same time you are taking a right action. You're not doing a reaction, but you're doing right action of regulating your breath. You're holding your breath. You're doing the kumbhakas. You're doing the anulom vilom. You're doing bhastrika or kapalbhati, but you are aware, at the same time you are doing an action. So you are getting a multitude benefit of both the practices.
As an Ayurveda practitioner, we all know that the benefit of having the breath work, because that changed the physiology. And so many imbalances we can correct through only the breath work. So
Yes.
now comes to the question for you. What changes occur in the mind when we begin to observe the breath continuously
So
or
when
the
you
consciously?
Yes, if people are aware of the breath, you will see that your as your emotions are changing, your breath is changing. And whether you are in the sympathetic mode or parasympathetic mode, uh, to me, sympathetic, parasympathetic are samudra manthan. So when you are having this awareness of your emotions, you can see how your breath is changing. Your breath is either shallow, your breath is rapid, your breath is uh, very superficial. So based on your emotions, your breath changes. As Dr. Shan was talking about Marma, so it's and the Vata tears and Pitta tears and Kapha tears, right? So in a way, the issues are in your tissues. Your emotional issues are in your tissues, a reflection of your emotions. So when you are observing your issues, your emotional issues, as that silent witness, you are able to see, okay, you have this grief going on, you have this anger issue going on, you have this depression going on. So the way is not out of it, but through it. You have to face your emotion as they are. You can't be in a denial. You can't be just a bundle of reaction and escaping. And sometimes we use spiritual practice as an escape too. You may be angry, but you're using it as an escape, uh, a practice, or going to a temple, or doing a mantra, or doing some japa. So you have to be aware of it. You have to accept the emotion as it is, like a child uh, is throwing a tantrum. What child is needing is your attention, not to be uh, suppressed. Hey, just take this candy and stop whining. But the child needs that hugging and that acceptance of that attention. Same thing with our emotion, whether it's grief or depression or anything. We need to accept it, that okay, this is what's happening with us at this time, and let's observe it for next 5 minutes. Let's set up time, for 5 minutes, and then for the 5 minutes, let's be depressed and observe it as it is. So then it becomes much easier that to get through it rather than avoiding it.
Thank you so much, and so beautifully said. Before I pose next question to Dr. Amit, I would like everybody to focus on the breath and see how you are breathing, and if that is helping you or stressing you out. And body and mind both are interconnected. We know that, but breath is so relevant. It tells us which portion of your body is tensed or relaxed. So just being mindful of the time for everybody also. My next question is, many people say that they don't have time to meditate. And I also hear in my practice, and I'm sure most of us have come across where people say, oh, if I meditate, I will sleep. Where should beginners start meditation?
So, can you rephrase your question, please?
Yes, many people say they don't have time to meditate.
Right.
So, if somebody wants to start the meditation, where they should start, how they should start, or what message you would like to give to a person who doesn't have time to meditate?
Very good question. And exactly that's what happened to me when you first posed the question. I was not present. Okay, so I must admit that. So when you are not present, you are missing the boat. So same thing here. When you do not have time, it's again to bring that awareness. Like in my practice, like in my a very one of the busiest practices. It's just so busy, and I'm seeing patients back to back. So I try to make sure, bring my awareness to the breath. In Vipassana, we call it as Anapana. So I bring my awareness to this moment. Okay, I'm busy right now. Let me just be here for this client, hold the space in this time, and let's be mindful. So when you are present, even if you do not have time, you are much more efficient. So your productivity is amplified. You are able to do many things by being aware. By if you are having difficulty in attention or ADHD and things like that, which I do suffer, and that helps me so much to be more efficient. So 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 taking some time off, and just even if it's like a couple of breaths, and bringing that as a bridge to be in this moment, transforms my experience and my performance. So even if you're not busy, even if you're very busy, still uh, you can bring that mindfulness.
Thank you so much,
So
Dr. Amit.
so it's basically it becomes a meditation in action. So you are meditating, you are active, you're doing multitasking, but it's an active meditation. Your day becomes meditation. Seeing clients become meditation. Your performance becomes meditation. Thank you.
Thank you so much. with that, you have already answered that one daily practice for everyone, and that is the meditation, watching your breath. But can you little elaborate on, can simple breathing practices influence stress, sleep, and emotional balance?
Absolutely, pretty quick, pretty instantly, like an instant coffee, or something instant. So, but just uh, by regulating, by bringing awareness to your breath, by just being aware of your breath and regulating to, you can change your physiology right away. For example, in pranayam, the right side of our nadi is Surya nadi, and the left is Chandra nadi. So even if you are, say, if you are in slight in fight mode, or if somebody is having a hot flash, so if they just breathe with their left nostril, it has that cooling effect. It has different effect at the different parts of the pituitary, which is much more cooling and much more nourishing, like almost like oxytocin. Are stimulated. And if you breathe through the right nostril, it's more stimulating, it's more yang, more uh, Surya Nadi. So it's more, the physiology changes. So you can change your physiology by changing your breath and by being mindfulness of that.
Thank you so much, Dr. Amit, for your valuable insight and valuable time and directions towards the AAP also. And we continue to seek support from our board member. So my next speaker is Vaidya Deepa Bhatt. As I said earlier, Vaidya Deepa Bhatt is an Ayurveda practitioner, Panchakarma specialist, yoga therapist, and over with 23 years of experience in Ayurveda and yoga. And she's the founder of Sangeet Sammohan Pathshala, dedicated to promoting Indian Vedic science and classical arts, and have more than 15 years of experience teaching Carnatic music. She's a part of American Association of Ayurvedic Professional as a vice president, board of director, as well as a secretary. She is actively engaged with National Consortium of Ayurveda Medicine as well. And her unique work integrates Ayurveda, yoga, and the healing power of music to support holistic well-being. Now, with the music background, Ayurveda background, and it's like a full recipe. So let me ask you, your topic is the sonic dincharya, integrating music therapy and sound wellness into Ayurvedic daily rhythms. So sound has played an important role in healing traditions. We all know that. How does Ayurveda view sound and vibrations?
Thank you so much for having me, Vaidya Meenakshi. This is a very interesting subject, not so touched subject by many. In Ayurveda, Shabda or sound is considered as a fundamental creative force of the universe. That means everything from matter and energy to thoughts and consciousness is an expression of vibration at different levels. And health is seen at a state of harmony within these vibrations. Ayurveda recognizes that our mental and emotional state affect the health. Our sensory experiences influences the doshas, and the sound can impact emotion, attention, and also physiological responses. And we know that sound is associated with akasha. It is the one of the most subtlest form of the five elements, and it is believed to reach the deeper layers of the mind and the consciousness. So, for this reason, along with diet, herbs, body therapies, and lifestyle modalities, I would say carefully chosen sound can also help restore the disturbed doshas and balance our emotional, spiritual well being.
Thank you so much, Vaidya Deepa. My next question to you is, what inspired you to explore the concept of sonic dincharya? We all have heard about Ayurvedic dincharya, circadian rhythm, but the sonic dincharya, tell us
Isn't
about
it?
it.
Yes, I'm really excited to tell you about that. And what inspired me to explore concept of sonic dinacharya is my lifelong relationship with music. Now, for more than 4 decades, music has been an integral part of my life. Sound is something I engage every day, whether it can be through teaching, listening, performing, or just simply being present with the music. When I began Ayurveda as a student, I'm still a student, by the way, but Ayurvedic principles, especially the importance of dinacharya, resonated with me. And I was so fascinated um, to know how sound could be intentionally woven into everyday life as a wellness practice. Over the years, I have witnessed how this sound can profoundly impact the emotion, energy, overall well being. Especially with my students, they have become more calmer, more focused, more confident, more uplifted by musical practices, by listening practices. Personally, I have seen its transformative power. So I can affirmatively say that Sonic Dinacharya offers a way to use the sound intentionally each day to restore the balance and overall well being.
Thank you so much. With that, the question comes to my mind. I have seen with myself also, if I have a emotional up and down, happy, sad, the type of song also, if I play, influence my mind. So in your, since you have a experience with the Carnatic music as well as a Ayurveda also, so how do music and sound influence emotions as well as mental well-being?
So, music and sound have a powerful influence on mental and emotional well being. This is because they affect both the brain and the nervous system. Music can activate the areas of the brain that is involving emotion, memory, reward, etc. It can trigger the neurotransmitters such as dopamine and serotonin, which helps with mood and motivation. It can reduce the cortisol levels by relieving the stress. And also, it releases certain um, hormones and the chemicals. It could be endorphins or oxytocin. Those gives emotional comfort and also bonding to us. Along with this, music has influence on physiological responses as well. Calmer music can lower our heart rate, breath rate, the blood pressure, and also stress hormones. In general, I can say that it helps activate parasympathetic nervous system, our body's rest and digest mode. In contrast, energetic rhythms can elevate alertness and also improve the vitality. Music provides certainly a healthy outlet for our emotional express. It fosters the connection, empathy, and sense of community. So for me, music is more than an art form or an entertainment. Both research and my personal experience um, says that music can support emotional resilience, it can create self awareness, and it can connect us and others in a deeper way.
Thank you so much. If you don't know, music can also help with the focus as well. I have
Yes,
experienced myself during exams days. I remember that outside noise, if I want to control, my way of doing the music, mild music, nice music, and my focus will be 100%. So try that. So my next,
absolutely. I have, like I said, in my students, especially exam time, and also clients who come, especially all the chaos that we carry, all the negative energy we carry at the end of the day after finishing the work, just by listening to soothing music, just for 5 minutes, it can shift our mood, and you can fresh start your evening hours in the day or in the evening, right?
thank you so much. So my next question is, can sound become a part of daily self-care routine? You have made the impression that yes, music can be a part of emotional well-being, mental well-being. It suits us. But when it comes to the music, there is a sound involved with that. So can sound becomes a part of our daily care routine?
This is a very, very insightful question, I would say, which is really, really important for all of us to relate to our digital world today. To answer, yes, sound can absolutely become an important part of our daily self-care because it directly influences how we feel, how we think, how we respond throughout the day. We constantly surrounded by, lot of noises, notifications, especially there is a sensory overload and constant stimulation. We don't realize what is its impact. It can begin with the sudden high-pitched electronic alarm in the morning, and also the sirens, traffic noises, office chatter, you just name it, right? All these things affects our well-being. Trust me, many people come to us and they say that, hey, you know what, I do follow a good diet, good workout, and do fairly have a good sleep. Still, I feel like my life is a havoc. There is so much of imbalance. And that is because we are not in harmony with our sensory receptions. And we are not training our body or mind to channelize the energies and when to do the pratyahara, which means withdrawal of the senses and directing them to the right way. This is where sonic dinacharya invites us to shift the sound from background noise to the conscious daily practice of the sound.
Thank you so much. Beautifully explained. Is there any specific time of the day when certain sounds or practices are especially beneficial? We know that Om has a sound which came from, we call it as a Dabru of Shiva, the Nada. So any other sounds or specific sounds which can be relatable to overall well-being physically and mentally?
Yes. I would like to answer your first part of the question, which is, are there specific times of the day where certain sounds are beneficial? Yes, there are, because we human beings are designed to follow the daily rhythm or circadian cycle, right? So in the morning, the body transitions from rest to activity. So during that time, gentle, soothing sounds, bird songs, or flowing water, soft instrumental music can promote the alertness, positivity, and soft and grounded readiness to the start of the day. Similarly, during the midday, when concentration and productivity is so very important, during that time, if you listen to steady instrumentals or low background noise type of music, it can improve our focus, concentration during the work or during the study, like you mentioned earlier. It can reduce the mental fatigue, which usually happens at 3 p.m., and mask the distracting noise. Similarly, when it comes to evening, it's the natural way of nervous system to shift towards rest and recovery. So slower, soft sounds, gentle chanting, or maybe guided meditation can calm the mind and prepare the body further for a restful sleep. And overall effectiveness of the sound is closely linked to the timing, because our energy levels are also not constant throughout the day. And a lot of scientific research also supports that sound influences circadian rhythm timing as well. There are dosha specific sound practices, because we are talking about Ayurveda and yoga and sound. If there is a dosha imbalance, there are specific sound practices that are advised to practice in certain time of the day. Interestingly, there is a Gandharva Veda. I don't know how many of you have heard about it. Like Ayurveda, it is a sister science for the sound. In Gandharva Veda, there are detailed guidelines on what type of sound or music one need to follow or consume in the seasons. That is also mentioned. In nutshell, I would like to say Dinacharya tells us how to live, Ritucharya tells us how to adapt, and music tells us how to feel. When these three are integrated, I think wellness is not just a treatment, it becomes a way of life.
Beautifully said. Thank you so much, Bhatt. I have last question for you. If somebody is new to this sonic dincharya, what simple sound-based practice would you recommend for a beginner or for a person who does not know anything about this therapy?
See, one of the beautiful thing about sound dinacharya is it requires no extra time. So you can definitely include in your busy schedule. It doesn't require any special training for the beginner. It doesn't need special equipment. These are the beautiful part of it. Okay. Now, some simple practices that are accessible for the beginners could be something really simple as you begin a day with 5 minutes of intentional listening with intentional breathing, right? Calming music during your meditation and yoga practice. Or if you're going for a walk, just listen to nature sound. Or maybe take a little sound breaks in between the work. Or when you're going to bed, listen to relax music. So this is one part of the thing. Or another thing is you can create a soundtrack of, 10 minutes of each of these sections and play it. Make sure you schedule it and play it when you are doing the work. That is another way of practicing simply. Chanting Om in the right way for 1 minute can also bring an effective influence on body and mind, but you need to know what way it needs to be chanted. My favorite simple practice, I want to share this with you all, is I would call it as humming meditation or humming practice. Okay. You just have to take a deep breath in. And then as you're exhaling, you create that humming vibration in your throat and feel that vibration in your chest, throat, face, and head. This is very simple yet effective way of practicing sound. I will say one more thing with this because some studies have shown that physiologically, when you are humming, it increases the production of nasal nitric oxide, almost up to 15 times compared to normal breathing. And what does this do? This nitric oxide is a powerful vasodilator or bronchodilator. So, yet again, I want to clarify this is not the treatment modality. I'm just saying physiological changes, right? When this happens, there is a more expanded airway structure. Our uptake efficiency of oxygen becomes more. Gradually, it is contributing to cellular vitality. Key in simple practice is consistency rather than complexity. And when practiced, the sound rituals can become powerful tool for relaxation and mental and emotional well-being.
Thank you so much, Deepa. And for the next part of our session, Deepa will be having different role now. She will be the next moderator for next three speakers. Over to you, Deepa.
Thank you so much, Meenakshi. We'll now proceed to the next topic, one of my favorite topic always, conscious consumption, nourishing the body, mind, and senses through Ayurveda. Please join me in welcoming our next speaker, Meenakshi Gupta, who is a gold medalist and Panchakarma specialist, educator, president of American Association of Ayurvedic Professionals, and also board of director in NCAM. She is the founder of Ayur Roots Ayurveda Wellness and CMR Skincare. With more than 25 years of clinical experience and over 2 decades of teaching Ayurveda across United States, she is dedicated to bringing Ayurveda beyond the clinic and into everyday life. Her work emphasizes gut-mind health and conscious living. Today's discussion is also about conscious consumption, and we'll explore how what we see, what we hear, think, and even the scroll through can influence our well-being. My first question to you, Meenakshi, Ayurveda teaches us that nourishment extends far beyond food. how should we understand the concept of consumption through the lens of the Indriyas?
Thank you so much having me here. So when we hear the word ahara, most of us immediately think about the food only. But Ayurveda invites us to see the word ahara more deeply. Acharya Charaka, or the sages of Ayurveda, tells us, Sharir Indriya Sattva Sanyoge Dhari Jivitam. Life is sustained by the harmonious union of Sharir, which is a physical body, Indriya, your senses, Sattva, your mind, Atma, which is your consciousness. So a truly healthy person is whose physical body, mental body, their soul or consciousness or their five senses are in the statement of contentment and clarity. So in a broader way, if we see that word ahara or the nourishment is not only means what you are putting in your mouth or what is entering your body through the mouth. We are constantly receiving ahara through five senses. What we see, hear, read, listen to, touch, even the company we keep becomes part of our internal environment and very important. I sometimes see that mind has no teeth, but that also it impacts our digestion because just all day long. The senses are like a window of the house. When spend a greater deal of time choosing organic food for the kitchen, but when you leave all the windows open, and surprisingly, you will see that the dust is blowing in, and that's how the mind works. We have to navigate what goes inside our mind. So today, if we see many people eating healthy meals but consuming unhealthy information, like the Deepa said, scrolling mindlessly, unhealthy relationships, unhealthy level of stimulation through those scrollings. And then they wonder why their mind feel tired even though they have good sleep, good food, superfoods. Perhaps mind also needs the organic nourishment. So conscious consumption is not merely asking what should I eat, but rather than what I am allowed to enter through my indriyas, my senses, my soul, my physical body and my mental body. Because ultimately, we become what we eat, what we digest, but also what we repeatedly consume through our body, senses, and mind. And perhaps that is one of the reasons I always feel that yoga is called a way of life, not simply an exercise program.
Absolutely. That's a great foundation you have laid there. My next question would be, from the perspectiveness of Ayurveda and yoga, what is the relationship between conscious consumption and pratyahara? How can we understand pratyahara as an intelligent selection rather than withdrawal from life?
So pratyahara is a Sanskrit word, and it is often misunderstood as a withdrawal from the word. In reality, it is not running away from life. It is learning not to be pulled in every direction. That's where the conscious consumption comes. So Patanjali says, Savavishya asamprayoge chittasya savarupa anukar iv indriyanam pratyahara. So pratyahara, if we see in a broader way, as I said, it is not withdrawal from the word. It is a state in which the senses no longer remain constantly engaged with their external objects, but instead begins to follow the quiet and steady nature of the mind itself. And if we see in today's language, perhaps pratyahara means that every notification no longer has the power to summon us. Because we are a human. The moment we see that on the phone there is a notification, we tend to scroll. We tend to see who sent us the message or what update I got. And I like to compare to the closing the window of, again, a dust storm. You are not rejecting fresh air forever. You are simply exercising wisdom. You want the clean air to come in, but you don't want the stormy, dusty air to come in. And that's where the conscious consumption is not avoiding the technology, avoiding people, or living in a cave like the old ages. It is about asking, does this message or this webinar or this meeting bring clarity, or does it create disturbance in my physical body and the mental body? And does this concept of going on the social media nourishes my indriyas, or does it agitate them? So yoga is not a suppression. Yoga is intelligent selection. And that's where I feel that the Ayurveda and yoga meet so beautifully, because Ayurveda teaches us what nourishes the body and the senses. Yoga teaches us how to become and see impulse and every stimulation. In today's words, if we see that pratyahara may not mean escaping to Himalaya or going to the mountains, sometimes it also means putting down the phone, is allowing the mind to remember its natural state. Or sometimes for myself, I say that perhaps the first towards pratyahara is realizing that not every notification is a signal for emergency, because peace is not found by controlling the world around us. It begins with learning to govern what we repeatedly allow through our indriyas, our senses, like sound. Similarly, what our eyes are reading, what we are smelling, all the five senses, what we are touching, if we are being mindful, that is what pratyahara is all about.
You have really highlighted some important points there. I hope our audience are enjoying the session. Next question is, Acharya Charaka describes Prajnaparada as one of the root causes of the disease. In an age of information overload and constant stimulation, how can we cultivate greater awareness and discernment in what we allow into our lives?
So Acharya Charaka, which is one of the greatest Acharya of Ayurveda medicine, described Pragyaprad, the mistake of the intellect. And that Pragyaprad is one of the root cause of any disease. Most of us, if you know about Ayurveda or yoga or mindfulness, we know that what disturbs us. We know when we should sleep, how to follow the dinacharya, when should we stop scrolling, or when our relationship with ourselves or with others are not healthy, or what relation drains us. But then also we keep on doing the same thing again and again over and over, and that is called as a pragyaprad. In today's world, we do not suffer from lack of information. There is a tremendous amount of information everywhere. You open the phone, you open the laptop, you open the television, you talk to somebody, you will get some information. And that's where I feel, if anything, we are drowning with too much information. The challenge is not for accumulating more knowledge. The challenge is cultivating viveka, the wisdom to discern what deserve entry into our body, physical body as well as the mental body, and what needs to stay away from our physical body. In yoga, that discernment is called as a vivek, and it develops through awareness, where again the mindfulness, which Dr. Amit was talking and where Deepa was talking, that all these things we can develop through the mindfulness. Not every notification, as I said earlier, deserve our attention. Just because someone forward the message does not mean it becomes part of our consciousness. And conscious consumption is not only about becoming a fearful or disconnected from the world. it is also most important to know that it is all about becoming intentional. When we are mindful, then intentional information which we need, we will allow to come through that window. And when the information, any type of information related to your senses, are equivalent to that storm which is full of dust, that we need to take out from our window. And that's how we say that consciousness consumption happen.
I truly appreciate you sharing this, and many of us can relate to it. Even knowingly, sometimes it becomes challenging for us to kind of handle this. Thank you. Moving on to next question. How do sound, relationship, conversation, and our environment becomes forms of nourishment, or in other words, the disturbance also for the mind and the senses?
So healing does not happen in the isolation. Ayurveda always teaches that we are constantly influenced by external environment as well as internal environment. And the important aspect is of one of that form is what we receive through our indriyas again, the senses. Earlier in this talk, Deepa has spoken beautifully about the healing power of sound and the concept of sonic dincharya. In Indian tradition, sound has never been considered merely for the entertainment. I have experienced myself for regarding my focus during my exam days, and I still do that practice when I drive. Before I start my day, I always love to listen the sound of fluid, and that helps in setting me the day that yes, my mind is clear of everything and now I'm ready for the day. There is a concept of Gandharv Veda, which Deepa has already touched upon that, and tradition of Raga Chikitsa also. So sound itself has been recognized as a tool for harmony. We all know that experience that certain sounds calm us, certain sounds helps us for the focus, while others create agitations also. You might have experienced, most of us have experienced that. Loud noise sometimes feel that it is too much noise. Certain conversations leave us inspired, while others leaves us exhausted. That is also there. So Ayurveda recognizes these impressions affect the mind and ultimately it influences the ojas also. You can drink herbal tea all day long, but if you spend the day arguing with the television or your phone or with the person, that herb, no matter if it is a ashwagandha, brahmi, shankpushpi, has a difficult job to work. So relationships or the sounds or the music or the senses can nourish ojas. Conversation can nourish ojas. Music also can nourish ojas. But we always have to remember that even silence, which has no noise, can also nourish ojas. So just as we are mindful of the quality of food we prepare, perhaps we should become equally mindful of the quality of the sound as well as the conversation. So one of the reason in the older ancient times, when I was growing up also, there was used to be a satsanga. Satsanga or sangha has always been valued in yoga and Ayurveda because that's where you learn about the mindfulness, about the noise, about the use of the senses. Eventually, we become the environment we repeatedly inhabit. And that's the reason many of us might feel better when we spend time in nature, listening to soothing music, chanting, or simply silent. And that brings peace, which is our dharma. And fortunately, unlike some supplement, silence has no side effects if we are doing it mindfully.
True that. Thank you so much. Keeping the time in mind, if you can answer this question in a minute or so. If yoga extends beyond the mat and Ayurveda extend beyond the plate, what does conscious living look like in everyday life?
Thank you so much, Deepa. This is such a wonderful question. I believe conscious living begins with recognizing that we are constantly in relationship with the world around us. We cannot neglect that word. Most of us spend a great deal of time deciding what to put on plate, but much less time deciding what to allow our minds and senses and our hearts. And Ayurveda teaches us that health is not merely an absence of disease. I would take half minute or less than half minute to explain that some dosha, some agnischa, sama dhatu malakriya, prasanna atmane indriya mane, swasthe itti abhidhiyate. A healthy person is when you know your doshas, agnis, dhatus, malas, eliminations, means your constitution, your doshas, your digestion, your bodily tissues, your elimination, but also your senses and mind are in the statement of contentment and harmony. That is the definition of health. Notice that does not stop with the digestion or the any other clinical parameters. The Acharya Vagbhat has includes the indriyas and the mind in that. To me, conscious living means bringing awareness to ordinary movement. It means what I'm asking, what I'm allowing in my life, in my mind, in my body, what I'm listening to, because ultimately we become what we repeatedly consume. And it is also about learning again and again to choose what truly nourishes us. And perhaps I would say that is the essence of both yoga and Ayurveda, not adding more complexity to life, but cultivating awareness, greater simplicity, and greater harmony. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for sharing these insights. And we hope this gives everyone something really practical to reflect on and apply in daily life. We will continue with our session. We now shift to another important topic, Brahmacharya, reclaiming a misunderstood practice. It is my pleasure to invite our next speaker, Madden. She is an advanced Ayurvedic practitioner, author, yogini, whose work is rooted in Hatha Yoga, Ashtanga, Vinyasa, and Kundalini traditions. With more than a decade of immersive Gurukula style training, she brings a deep understanding of the connection between yoga, Ayurveda, and holistic well being. For Madison, yoga is first and foremost a devotional personal practice, quite beautiful, one that beautifully informs her work as a clinical practitioner and educator. Please join in giving a warm welcome to Madden.
Thank you.
So we are exploring today Brahmacharya, a principle often misunderstood as only celibacy, but in its broader sense, it relates to energy also. How would you define it in today's context, Madison?
Thank you, Deepa. And firstly, what an honor to be here with all of you esteemed yogis and vaidyas. Brahmacharya, which, is interesting. Brahmacharya is both a yama in Patanjali's 8 limbs of yoga and one of the 3 upastambhas in Ayurveda, the 3 supporting pillars of life. That's a big deal, and it's something that we don't often talk about, or we mention it and we kind of avoid it because it's a complex topic in modern day, right? Or we interpret it as celibacy, and then that seems unrelatable to students and practitioners of modern day. Or maybe we shift it around as energy management, and what does that mean, right? So I thought it was an interesting thing when we talk about yoga as a practice off the mat. To me, this is a such a juicy topic as it relates to practice of yoga off the mat. So the first thing I'll do is let's break down this word, Brahmacharya. As a beautiful Sanskrit word, this word breaks down to Brahma or Brahman, which is the ultimate unchanging reality or pure consciousness. And Charya, which is comes from the root char, meaning to move or to walk or to conduct oneself. And so Brahmacharya means, in its just purest sense, to walk in Brahman, or to conduct oneself in accordance with the ultimate unchanging reality. That's a pretty big word. That's a pretty big statement. So I interpret that, or kind of bring that into, what does that really mean? How do we live that? To me, to walk in Brahman is to move through life as Brahman moves, which is to say, without needing anything to be other than it is. To walk through life without grasping and without fear of loss. Oh, that's so beautiful and so hard. So hard. So I think this is really interesting to contrast, right? To contrast this contemplation with our kind of modern definition of Brahmacharya as celibacy. What a much broader and more complex and much more depthful definition we have here.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And you have put a very interesting perspective to it. Adding on to that, why has this principle become especially important in our modern world?
Well, as you asked that, what comes to mind for me is that we continue to hear over and over and over again stories of sexual abuse in containers of spiritual communities, yogic communities, by people that are proclaimed celibate over and over and over and over again through history. And so this is interesting to me because to me, this hits the nail on this topic of this is so much more than that. And that in its isolated definition of let's strive as yogis to be celibate. We see over and over again that the vital life force energy, in restraint and suppression actually leaks out of the surface and gets expressed in all of these, painful and abusive ways. And so it's much more than that. It's much more than let's restrain sexual energy. And if we look at it in the context of the, Yoga Sutras and the 8 limbs of yoga and the 3 pillars of life in Ayurveda, then we see it as this foundational practice of health and well-being. That to walk through life without striving or fear of loss relates to almost everything that we do. It relates to the way we eat. It relates to the way that we relate to finances. It relates to the way that we relate to our intimate and romantic partners. It relates to our careers. It relates to everything that we do on a daily basis and how we express and take in energy and prana. So to me, in modern day, why it's important is that it reaches all of these things.
Absolutely. And you already touched upon Brahmacharya is not only about celibacy, it has a broader meaning as well. Now, can you explain a little bit more, elaborate on broader interpretation in terms of energy management?
Yeah, so, we have this kind of narrower translation being applied to vital or sexual energy, which is absolutely relevant because in both Hatha Yoga and in Ayurveda, the idea is that, the seminal fluid, let's just call it that, carries ojas, refined vital life force. And so its retention or its conscious channeling allows that energy to permeate through the subtle body and through the subtle channels. And that supports both physical health as well as emotional and spiritual health and general ojas. But then we have this relationship that is far beyond, or perhaps we like to compartmentalize it away from sexual energy. We like to compartmentalize sexual energy as something very specific and very different than life force, when really, in the ancient wisdom traditions, this energy is all part of the same paradigm, right?
Yeah.
So the broader teaching is about how you spend the currency of your life force rather than just our sexual or intimate energy. So instead of thinking of it as restriction or discipline around suppression of sexual energy, perhaps a deeper way of thinking about it or contemplation around it is around inner expansion. How we can potentially stop leaking our energy through anxiety, through grasping, through emotional reactivity, so that we can become more available to what's actually here in this present moment, in our present experience, and the potentiality of consciousness within us. And I think it's important to, just maybe touch on historically how we got to this definition of celibacy. In the 19th century, the British colonial relationship, the Christian missionaries essentially mounted a sustained critique of Hindu practice and Vedic practice as sexually degenerate, adulterous, primitive. And so these practices were framed through a Victorian moral as evidence of spiritual inferiority or superiority, when it's this much broader contextual relationship with our vital life force that gets expressed in lots of different ways. And to me, as modern practitioners and students of yoga and Ayurveda, this history is so important to be present with, and to be present with the contextual reality and complexity that we're working with these practices.
Absolutely. Thanks for sharing that. Along with this concept, one other thing, the simplest word that brings to our mind is discipline. Discipline is also often misunderstood as rigidity. It may actually create the freedom, What role do discipline and moderation play in maintaining the balance?
That's such a beautiful question. To me, I think I'd like to use the word discernment, right? Sensory discernment. Not suppression, not rigidity, but discernment. What we consume, as Vaidya Meenakshi so beautifully talked about, the consumption of food, of media, of conversation, of noise, of sexual intimacy, all of these things shape the quality of our inner life. And so, what feeds our vital energy and what depletes it? How do we contain our energy as opposed to allowing it to be, let's call it, uncontained? And so there's this beautiful relationship between, allowing ourselves to find discernment in our sensory reality. And I think that's where discipline comes in, and, self-knowledge through these practices.
Totally agree. How can we practice Brahmacharya in a world full of distraction and overstimulation?
Well, this is a That's a question for all of us to sit with over and over and over again, right?
Yeah.
I think Brahmacharya can be practiced and observed in the relationality with everything that we do in a day. It can be like we talked about in relationship to finances. Where are we striving out of fear of loss? In our intimate and romantic relationships, where are we either suppressing our life force or allowing our life force to be uncontained? Where do we control out of fear in life? We can work with Brahmacharya in, it's so beautiful. To me, yoga asana practice is somewhat a preparation for savasana, for corpse pose, right? And to me, Brahmacharya is similar in our relationship of yoga off the mat. It's a preparation for the moment of death. And that, to me, just has so much depth and so much juice that we can be in relationship with in every moment.
Great explanation. Let's make this actionable and simple for our audience. What is one practical way to embody this principle in everyday life?
Single-pointed attention.
Hmm.
When we scatter our attention across 15 different things, that's the opposite of Brahmacharya.
Mhm.
Full presence on one thing at a time conserves our concentrated energy and allows us to not be in that striving or fear of loss space. And it allows, it's also a death practice. It allows other things to be let go while you're here in this very moment.
Such a simple way to put a complex topic. Thank you so much, Madison, for engaging conversation. Your thoughts on this subject has given us a lot to think about, and we appreciate your time and expertise and the clarity that you have brought on this topic today.
I appreciate your time having me here.
Yeah. Thank you, everyone, for being part of this session. I hope you are all enjoying the variety of the topic we have provided on AAAP's platform today. We will now move on to our next session, which will explore the choice of action in Karma Yoga. I would like to invite our next speaker, Ashwini Surpur. She is an executive director of Yoga Bharati and a senior yoga therapist. After a successful 15-year career as a software engineer at Oracle, she transitioned to full-time service with Yoga Bharati in 2010. She is a respected speaker on yoga and Hindu philosophy. Ashwini specializes in yoga therapy, particularly for cancer and terminally ill patients, and has touched countless lives through her teaching, writing, and dedication to holistic healing. Please give a warm welcome to Ashwini Surpur.
Thank you. Namaste.
Namaste.
Thank you, Deepa.
It's a pleasure having you here. Today, we are exploring Karma Yoga, often simply said as selfless action, but in its deeper sense, it is about how we choose, perform, and relate to action itself. In this context, what does Karma Yoga truly mean beyond the common understanding of doing good deeds, Ashwini-ji?
Thank you. First of all, let's get the idea of good deeds in a proper context. And here I will repeat what Swami Vivekananda says about Karma Yoga. He says, when an individual commits evil acts, they become increasingly evil, and when they begin to do good, they grow stronger and learn to do good consistently. And he says very beautifully, and that really I just want to bring the what Deepa brought about the music, right? The Gandharva Vidya here. So when a music instrument, this is Swami Vivekananda saying, not mine. He says when a music instrument is multiple instruments are all tuned to one tune. When one musical instrument makes the sound, he says all others have a tendency to vibrate to the same note. So, in that sense, he says all minds that are in similar circumstances will have a tendency towards the mind that is actually in action. Say you are doing a good work, you will attract a lot of good minds around you. And if you are doing evil actions, then of course similar kind of people will be attracted to you. So he says all minds that have same pattern of thinking will be equally affected by the same thought. And we can see that, right? Usually in the world that happens. So now, going beyond good deeds, let us look at helping the world as a concept of Karma Yoga. And again, I want to bring Swami Vivekananda's teachings. He says, in helping the world, we help ourselves. The main effect of work done by others is to purify ourselves. And what Vedanta says here is Antakarana Shuddhi, which means you are purifying yourself. Nothing else is happening in this world. Nothing else we are trying. We think that if we think that it's, we are doing good to others, he said, Swami Vivekananda says, it's a weakness to think anyone depends on me and I can do good for another. The world does not require our help. You are the porter who carried the money for or any kind of gift, and the world deserved it by its own karma, he says. So that means we are really not here to do quote unquote good action. We are here to really purify ourselves, and that's what is the meaning of Karma Yoga, to going beyond the meaning of good actions.
Beautifully said. Now, it's not just what we do and the state of mind behind the action, right? How does the intention change quality of an action, or why is intention so important in yoga philosophy?
Yeah, very simple. Subhashitas goes and says, Prayojanam vina mandopi na pravartate, which means without a some benefit, not even a fool takes up an action. That is Subhashita's common knowledge, right? That means we all have an intention in the mind when we are doing. But however, the difference between an intention and a desire, right? The desire towards a selfish motive, that is attachment-driven desire. That is quote-unquote desire, which takes you towards sorrow, as Buddha says, as Vedanta says, everyone, right? Every yogi says that. Now, coming to the intention aspect, it is a desire in the sense of where you want to head. It's a direction. That is the intention. When you set a proper intention in yoga, you are actually directing your energy towards that action. You're not. Otherwise, you would be like in a forest, right, without any path. Then you will be wandering all over the place. So intention helps you to head towards the proper direction. And I would like to bring like various speakers who brought various different aspects of this yoga here, and each one really is towards the same ultimate goal. Is the same ultimate intention of everyone is the same, whether you use music as a therapy or conscious choice as an action here, or Brahmacharya, or whichever. So, or Vipassana. The point is, what is the intention? There can be a short-term intention, or there has to always be an ultimate intention, which is the moksha or freedom. But then when you're going towards that, there are milestones you set for yourself. You cannot just always operate on saying, everybody's ultimate goal is moksha, so we just want to proceed that way. Set an intention like for 6 months or for a day even, and move accordingly. That will help you to stay on course and stay within reach. When an action is within reach of the intended results, we'll come to the results and how to let go of that too in a moment. But the point is, we just don't want to get attached to the results. When you do that, that becomes a desire. Whereas when you don't attach to your results, but you have a goal in mind, then that is the intention.
Wonderful. Many a times people assume that spirituality is not for an ordinary people. But Ayurveda and yoga both teaches us how we can apply spirituality in everyday life. Can you elaborate on how can ordinary daily activities can become a spiritual practice, please?
Yeah. So, correct. Vedanta has given a huge importance to actions, daily actions, that is not necessarily spiritual actions. In fact, spirituality comes later. Vedanta says, don't even go to spirituality, don't talk about that until you do your daily actions and your day to day actions. Right, so that is if Ishavasya Upanishad always says that if you think you are doing an action great, like vidya, you are pursuing vidya, you are going to, if you are pursuing avidya, the avidya means day to day actions and day to day knowledge, and if you are pursuing avidya, you will go to hell. But if you are pursuing vidya, which is the higher knowledge, you will go to greater hell. Tato bhuyaiva te gacchati. That means you have to really think about your day-to-day activities first. So spirituality in that sense applies first to the day-to-day activities. And what does Vedanta say there? It puts different classification, like nitya karma, which is daily obligatory duties, naimittika karma, that is occasional obligatory duties, and then kamya karma, rites done or rituals done to attain desired results, such as, I would like to use this as, we exploit the regular resources, human, environment and everything. Let's not kid about it. We all do exploit. We have to, otherwise we don't live, right? So that is kamya karma. We, using whatever is out there, I'm ordering on Amazon and living for our survival and comfort. That all is kamya karma. And prayashchitta karma, like rituals like going to the temple or holy places, or any action which we do to resolve our inner conflicts, guilt and grief, and even recreation that we do because we are so full of trouble. And then nishiddha karma, that means forbidden action like killing, drinking, and various such things. Why is this classification important? It brings us the awareness of what we are doing and why. Vedanta did not omit even daily rituals without due consideration. That means we have to be aware of all of these, and I think Amit Bhai brought this meditation in action. That is what it is. So when you are aware that you are having a good intention set for your day, you optimize your living, your usage of resources are optimized, and you are not overusing them, your recreation, vacation, everything is optimized and not overly spending. Brahmacharya, like we brought up, Madison brought up about Brahmacharya, not necessarily just sexual control, but more than that. So that is what I see as the day-to-day action. So the idea is to optimize and live. That's what spirituality teaches.
Thanks for elaborating on this topic. Now, let us focus on one of the most challenging aspects of Karma Yoga. How do we perform action without becoming attached to the outcomes?
That is always a challenge. So, when we have like as we brought up the intention part, right? What it says, Bhagavad Gita says this, कर्मण्यैव हि संसिद्धिम आस्थिता जनकादयः लोक संग्रहमेवापि संपश्यन् कर्तुमर्हसि. That means even kings like Janaka, who was supposed to be a spiritual king, Sita's father, even at the level of being a king, he followed Karma Yoga. That means it's not what kind of action, how big of a result you are going to bring and or you are responsible for, doesn't matter. If you are not attached, if you have a higher goal in mind, like Loka Sangraha, which means you are working for the good of all, then there is no question. If I want my son to graduate and become, like it's a grad season, right, graduation season, if I only want my son to succeed, then I'm in trouble because he may or may not take up the action that we want them to take. So, but if I'm looking at the good of the whole, all of graduates, where is the question of getting into trouble? So that is what it is. It's about taking up the karma yoga from that higher perspective. Then there is no question. You're not going to then not do something is a problem, right? How? That's not going to help. By someone telling us, don't do this, don't do this. No, no, no. Just pick up what you want to do and how. Then the not do part will just automatically fall away.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Can karma yoga help us deal with stress and uncertainty in modern life? This feels especially relevant in today's high pressure environments, or maybe with our youngsters, how to understand and respond to failures and success.
Yeah. Very. Does it help? Does it help with uncertainty and stress? Absolutely. If anything helps, that's what helps. The proper attitude in our actions. And actions we do every minute. Nahi kaschit kshanamapi jatu tishtatya karmakrit karyate hevashah karma sarvah prakriti jairgunaihi, says Sri Krishna in Bhagavad Gita. The actions happen through us. Nahi kaschit kshan, not a single moment we are without action. Not acting is also an action in that sense, right? Because you're sitting there meditating, and then there is an action there. It's not just sleeping. It's probably sleeping is the only one where you are mostly not acting, but still there is an action happening through you. So the point is, when we understand that everything sarva prakriti jairgunaihi, everything happens per prakriti, per sattva rajas tamas. I am not acting. There is a whole conditioning that has brought me up into being who I am. And if I am acting, it's not me who created me, in the sense of body mind complex, right? Something higher created me, and the action is happening. My genetic system, my environment, the teachings, the gurus, the parents, all have contributed to who I am and how I am acting. If I take credit for my talks here, what happens to my gurus? You see, they have brought me up to this point. So Krishna says, nimitta matram bhava savyasachi. That means you just simply become, all action is already done, he says. You just put the arrow. Already I have killed them. So that means in a time frame, in the whole scheme of the universe, things have already been set in action, into motion. You just come and go. You become that little instrument which, again, referring to Deepaji's thing about the Gandharva Vidya and the whole music as a daily ritual and so on, you will see that it's the rhythm, the music is already on. We just have to tune to it.
That's such an important clarification you have made today. Thank you. What is one practical teaching from Karma Yoga that everyone can begin practicing today?
Yeah. The one thing that we want to understand is that we train ourselves to attain the state of perfect harmony in mind and then begin the action. And when we self-negate, or when we attach less importance to ourselves, and when we say that, action is already on and I'm just part of that game that's already on, that very atmosphere will give me the feeling of blessedness. When we give up the entitlement, and when we take gratitude instead of entitlement, and instead of saying, I have the right to this, if I say, I don't know what right I have, life is a privilege, and I simply am privileged to be here, and let me do my best to contribute my little thing so that my footprint, my smallest footprint, is going to be there on this universe for as long as it can last. That, being small and allowing the world to be big and me to be small, with that attitude, if we take up the actions, I think that will go far, far along in giving peace of mind to me, in giving the world making the world a better place.
Wow. We truly appreciate your time and valuable perspective you brought to this discussion. Thank you so much, Ashwini ji.
Thank you.
We will conclude, and just to say again, Karma Yoga reminds us action itself can be a path of awareness. Everyday life becomes not separate from the practice, but the practice itself. Now, on behalf of everyone and AAP's family, we thank all the speakers for sharing their knowledge and experience with us today. It has truly been enriching session, and we are grateful for your time and insights. We'll now open the floor for questions. Meenakshi ji.
We have only one question for Dr. Shan by Madison, and that I can see in the chat. And Dr. Shan is not available. Maybe we can direct this question to him whenever we get a chance. Yeah, thank you so much. Anyone else has any question? Please, you can unmute yourself and ask the question here.
Hello, my name is Sushma, and I have a question regarding the Gandharva Veda that you were talking about, Deepaji. I loved the connection of music to mindfulness in your talk. Where can I find information or more knowledge about Gandharva Veda here? Any books that you can suggest?
So Sushma ji, that's a wonderful thing to know that you got connected to this subject. Unfortunately, like I said before, not many people have explored too much on sonic dinacharya. This is a new concept, and I'm pretty sure that we are going to ignite this because, like all the speakers said, right? So everything connects to the same thing. Final goal is the same thing. There are different routes, and one of the route that connects all the dot is sound. So there is no. I will be very honest to say this. The traditional Gurukul system knowledge that I received from my gurus is a vast thing. And through that, I have been kind of like advising the ragas, and I can get you probably do some exploration on what are the books available. I haven't lately explored anything on that. Is there anyone else? Meenakshi, do you have any idea on? Because I have referred to Gandharva Veda book as such, and I just follow those instructions to my practice and for my advisors.
So I would like to add one more thing. If you are in Dallas area, there is a temple, Hanuman Temple. They have that book on the Raga Chikitsa as well as Gandharva. Just check their online store. You might be able to have something.
All right.
Yeah,
Thank you.
that reminds me one more thing. Add to that, Maharshi School established Ayurveda and yoga long before here in US, and Maharshi himself created Gandharva Chikitsa tune series in 2021, I think, if I'm right, or 2001. I'm really sorry about the timeline, but you do have like some of the materials available in their website. Also, you can purchase the book and the CDs from
Thank
them.
you.
And you can always reach out to me. I'd be happy to help you with understanding or designing a specific music prescription. I don't know to say
Yes.
music prescription or daily ritual for an individual. Okay.
Music prescription sounds good.
I think there was a Swamiji too, Swami Ganpat
Ganpati
Sachidananda.
Sachidananda. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's the same person associated with Hanuman Temple.
Yes.
Hanuman
Yeah.
Temple.
Yeah.
All right. Just to add to your the sonic dinacharya. Growing up, the first tune that started in the house was M.S. Subbulakshmi's Vishnu Sahasranamam. And that 1 hour, you hear the milk boiling in the kitchen, the daily sounds in the house, and with the background of the Vishnu Sahasranamam. I can't remember one moment where anybody got mad. The day always started positively. So just wanted to let you know there is definitely a lot of positivity with music. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We truly appreciate your sharing, Sushmaji.
Anyone has more question? Well, as we conclude today's program, I would like to extend my sincere thanks to all our speakers for sharing their wisdom and insight, and especially to Whether Deepa Bhatt having moderating this session also and wearing so many hats today, as well as our board of directors, Dr. Shan, Dr. Amit, and all the volunteers whose efforts made this event possible. Most importantly, thank you for each of one of you for joining us on Sunday to celebrate International Day of Yoga. May we remember that yoga extends beyond the mat and Ayurveda extends beyond the plate. Both invites us to live with greater awareness and to choose again and again what truly nourishes our body, mind, and senses. On behalf of AAAP, thank you for being with us today. Namaste.
Namaste. Thank you so much.
Namaste.
Beautiful conversation. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thoroughly enjoyed everybody's. Madison views, Dr. Amit yours, and Ashwini ji's views. It was mind-provoking. Thank you so
I
much.
honestly felt like time didn't do justice. We had a wonderful speakers, wonderful topics.
And sorry for keeping you everybody for a little longer, but I hope that it justify your time also. Thank you so much.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, everyone. Yeah.
Yeah.
Bye. Namaste.